Welcome to INN CEO Talks. Joining me today is Michael Spreadborough, the Executive Co-Chair of Novo Resources, which trades on the TSX under the symbol NVO. Mr. Spreadborough is a mining engineer, a designation that he has put to great use. For more than 20 years, he's been engaged in mining lead, zinc, uranium, copper, gold, and iron ore. He's held roles across the entire scope of the industry, from business and project development to operations and exploration. Recently, Mike was the general manager mining for WMC, and then later the vice president mining for BHP Billiton at the world-class Olympic Dam mine in South Australia. Mike, when I was reading your bio, it's clear you have a tremendous depth of knowledge and experience with successful mining operations. You joined Novo Resources at the start of the year and then transitioned to the role of executive co-chair in the spring. And over the past few weeks, you've issued quite a number of press releases, both about the Nullagine and the Talga Talga projects. Let's start by having you bring viewers up to date on your press releases, and then we'll get on and talk about some of your other projects as well.
Yeah, look, thanks very much for the kind introduction. So if we start with Talga Talga, I think most investors, if they've followed the Nova story, know that we've got 13,000 square kilometres of good tenements across the Pilbara. And Talga Talga is just one of those good prospects that we've had. We've just now, as we announced, the first phase of drilling at Talga Talga, so that's quite exciting. Some really good gold grades. So that's very pleasing. So our next step is, our world-class geologists are now kind of mapping what they've seen in the drill holes. They'll put together a plan, and early next year we'll put a drill rig back on the Talga Talga and start drilling again to build up a picture, with the hope that, somewhere along the way we'll have a very economic gold deposit that we'll mine. Talga Talga is only one of about 10 priority gold projects that we're currently working on.
So, and the Nullagine project, where are you at there?
Yeah, so again, early this year we started production from our Beatons Creek deposit. That's been processed through the processing plant that we bought last year from other parties. That production in terms of throughput and the recovery of the material from the Beatons Creek Conglomerate Gold Project has been going very, very well. So that's, a real positive for us. The Beatons Creek Conglomerate is kind of unique. No one's really mining this style of material in Australia. We're definitely finding some of the grades a bit lower than we had estimated before we started mining. We're busy working with the team trying to optimise how we mine to lift the grade up. And as we put in an announcement, you'll hear more from us in kind of early mid-November on how that project will look through 2020 and 23. The project is exciting. It still has over 4 to 5 years life to run, lots of potential. And right now we just need to take a little bit of a snapshot and make sure that we're optimising the value of the project for the shareholders.
So for our viewers who are not familiar with you, give us a little overview of Novo Resources. Are you an exploration company? Are you a development company? What kind of company are you? And of course, you're focused on gold.
Yeah, so as you mentioned at the start, we're TSX listed, but our head office is based here in Perth in Western Australia. Our big asset is our 13,000 square kilometres of tenements in the Pilbara. So that's about 2,000 kilometres north of Perth. At the moment, the Pilbara experiences temperatures around 40 degrees. So, very early summers that are very, very hot. So in that area with the tenements we have, we are very focused on exploring for gold. But having said that, there is some base metals and nickel prospects that we'll look at. But our focus is really as a gold explorer, taking the projects from exploration all the way into production. So the Beatons Creek conglomerate was discovered, a few years ago on the back of some really geological concepts by, the founder of Novo, Quentin Henney. And from that, now that has been brought into production. And, as I said, we've got a 4 to 5 year life at Beatons Creek. But around that processing plant, which can take 1.8 million tonnes, we're busy doing lots of exploration. So we updated the market about 6 weeks ago on the brownfields exploration. You'll see a lot of news flow coming through in coming weeks as some of those drill holes get processed and reported. So there's a lot of exploration potential with the whole process of trying to bring it into that processing plant, turn it into gold and then into revenue. But it's a very prospective area for exploration. The other side of us is we like to play with innovation. We like to be leaders in some of the things that we're doing. So we're very focused on ore sorting. So for your listeners, ore sorting's ability to mine the minerals and also the waste, putting it through a machine that uses sensors to pick out the minerals, the valuable minerals, and you then put that in the processing plant. With the overall concept being that you're not, treating 100 tonnes of material for 10 tonnes of, minerals. You actually can treat the 10 tonnes of minerals, and that lowers your costs and makes projects economic. We're also a big user of what's called the photon assaying, allowing us to assay and get high quality results for exploration. So that innovation is a big focus in our culture. You will see over the next 2 years us continually invest significant money in exploration, $15 million a year plus into exploration as we develop more targets to bring into production.
So do you have the financial resources to self-fund to go there, or are you going back to the market to raise more money?
Very, very good question. So we have no plans this year to go back to the market. We have a very strong balance sheet. We sit around about $50 million of cash at the moment, around about plus or minus. We also have a strategic investment portfolio that's worth roughly, depending on other share prices, of around about 150 million Canadian. So all up, our balance sheet is very, very strong. We've got enough horsepower to do the exploration work that we want to do to support our production profile going forward. So, we might see the odd month or so where grades are a bit lower and production's a bit lower, but overall the company is in a very strong position, supported by one of the best exploration teams you'll find in the country, and that I think is a good plus for us going forwards.
Well, it's a good plus for investors as well, isn't it? Because they're not going to see a dilution in that stock. And so what's your pitch to them right at the moment as to why now is a good time to be putting their money into Novo Resources?
Yeah, I think there's three good stories. Here is, first one is gold price. I think we've seen a very long sustained rate of gold price. We're obviously producing in the Australian dollar market. So, in Australian dollar terms, we're seeing very high gold prices given the exchange rate. So that helps our revenue. I'm a firm believer that over the next year, you'll continually see good gold prices going forward. So it's a good time to invest in gold. Secondly, that exploration tenements that we have, very high perspective. We've already found good gold discoveries. We'll probably find more as we do more work. We've got the horsepower financially and people to spend on that. And if people look at some of our cousins around the areas, they've had good exploration success as well. So, we've got that ability. And then third, we've demonstrated now with operation and what's happened in the last 12 months, we can take exploration projects all the way through to development and into production. So we have the complete skill set. And I'd probably like to say, to overlay that, we've now got, with a bit of a board refresh that we did early in the year, we've got a very strong board. We've got ESG credentials on the board, but also as a company, we're very focused on the ESG and our carbon footprint. So we think we're in a good position right now to move the company forwards.
You must have a pretty good team to be able to be in the exploration side right through to production. You got to have a team with the right kind of experience, because there's a variety of different disciplines that have to come into play.
Yeah, correct. And look, we'd be fair to say that in Western Australia at the moment, the market for people in the mining industry is very, very hot. Despite all the issues we've seen with COVID, etc., the West Australian mining industry is very, very active. We're seeing a lot of exploration happening, new projects come on board. But through that period and the ramp up into production and building our team, we've been able to attract good people. And the reason for that, it's the culture that we bring to the business, the focus on safety, how we bring the team together to work together. and also, our focus on ESG. They like to come and work for a company that's focused on the environment. So we have got a good team. We've been able to keep them, and we do have skill sets all the way from legal people, HR, environmental, safety. Obviously, a big group of great geologists, data managers, mining engineers, metallurgists, mechanics. So we have a good team of around about 200 to 300 people, and they're a great asset to us.
Well, it sounds like you've got a wonderful company and that you're going to have a number of developments along the way. You're new to this interview with us at INN, and I'm hoping that you're going to come back and give us some updates in a few months, because you're the kind of story that investors want to be following.
Yeah, I think what people should have a good look at is between now and, say, the end of the year, have a good look at the exploration updates that will come through. And definitely mid-November, we've already flagged to the market that we're going to have a very big update on what the production profile looks like going into calendar year 22. So they're really big kind of milestones for people to look out and keep an eye on that gold price.
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much for your time today, and I look forward to catching up with you in the coming months.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, everyone.